This is Brandon Parker. Welcome to the Legends of Land show, where it's my job to deconstruct the tactics of elite land investors, how they think about their business, and the strategies that drive their success. My guest today is Mike Malek. Mike has run tech companies, a lead gen operation, and did over 1,000 house deals before he transitioned into land. Currently, Mike does 30 to 50 land deals per month and runs his office out of Dallas, Texas. He also has a global team. In this conversation, we cover how to stay competitive as the land industry matures, pay-per-click marketing, how to dispo 50 deals a month, and what a more sophisticated land business looks like as this space evolves. So without further ado, please enjoy this wide-ranging conversation with Mike Malek.
The Legends of Land Show with Brandon Parker. Deconstruct the tactics of world-class land investors and learn tools to build a seven-figure land business. The Legends of Land Show is starting now.
Mike, welcome to the Legends of Land show. Great to see you here today. How you doing today, Mike?
I'm very well. Thank you, Brandon, for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. Wonderful to talk to you. I met you at the conference in Dallas and you had a few questions and we're doing some of the most deals at the entire conference. So I was like, I need to talk to him a little bit more. Yeah, just talk about maybe what you're up to in land, how many deals you're doing a month, who you are, what your business is, and we'll go from there.
So basically, I do about 20 to 50 deals a month. That's what I'm doing right now. I do all kind of lands. I do small pieces. I do large pieces. I do subdivides. I do $2,000 lands. So whatever comes through the pipeline, we have to build a system, process them, and figure out what to do with them. So that's what we do.
When you look at that wide range of deals, are you getting eyes on that many deals yourself and underwriting them, or what's your team look like to make that happen?
So overall, we have about 40 people. So depends on the lead source. You have both the outreach and inbound. So when the inbound lead comes up, it goes to our call center. They take the basic information from the seller. Then it directly goes to our evaluation team. So we have four people that we have trained to evaluate. They evaluate it and put a value on that thing. And then we decide based on that what acquisition team it goes to. Small dollar, it takes different scale. If it's a large subdivide, 100, 200 acre, it goes to a different acquisition manager. And then they start acquisition process, basically contacting the seller, discussing the different things they need, hopefully putting it under contract. And then if it's a small piece, of course, it just immediately goes through the sales process. And if it's a larger piece, again, it goes to another due diligence team, which they go further and further and look at a lot of things before we take it down. So it all depends on, again, what size, what amount, and what the exit look like.
That's interesting. How do you pull data, decide where to pull data for that much? It sounds like you're calling entire counties possibly. What are your filters like and how are you targeting those areas for that wider range?
So I have different sources. I do pay-per-clicks, I do texting, I do IVR. That's the basic what we do. Okay. So on our pay-per-clicks, we just know the areas we have done deals and we think the states we want to go to. We starting the process over there. On the texting side, like everybody else, the counties that we know we're more familiar with and pull data, we skip trace them, we send the text, and then depends on what it comes.
And if you're doing that many deals, are you sticking in one area? Are you just continually going into new markets or do you have a certain set of markets that you work in over time?
So the answer to your question, we grew too fast and we realized that was too hard to manage. So we have rolled back and we're playing the 80-20 rule, which is basically we looked at it, what worked for us, and we're concentrating more on those area right now.
And talk about how you hit those in order. If you're doing RVMs, texting, and pay per click, do you have a strategy around the cadence you hit those with, the markets? Or
I mean, on the pay-per-click, it's very simple. You choose a state. It's not really that hard. You choose a state, you see what it comes, because it's really hard to scale it in one area. You don't know where the lead comes up and how does it come. On the texting, we do it like everybody else. We look at the sales, we look at the comps, we see what works, we'll do it. But our system is large enough that we can process so many pieces of land that we don't have to just stay in one thing. So we really do everywhere. If we go a county, I pull every record in that county and I send everyone a text. Okay. And then based on what it comes, we process.
I haven't seen a lot of people who do pay per click. How long have you been doing that for? And do you have a feel for the ROAS on pay per click versus texting and RVMs?
So I've been doing pay-per-click. My background, I used to do lead generations. So that's where I come from. I'm very familiar with pay-per-click. And the biggest challenge on a pay-per-click and what this value ROAS is how you process your deals. Because it's not like you can go to one subdivision and say, I'm just getting deals from this subdivision. I know how to exit it. I know where to go. I know what to do. I know how to evaluate it. You get in Texas, one deal you might get from Galveston County, and one deal you might get it at North Texas. Totally two different monster. Anybody wants to get on a pay-per-click, it's a great source, but at the same token, your backend has to be able to handle so many different things. You cannot say, I'm just doing over 1 acre deals on this thing. You might get a 100 acre and you might get a 2 acre. And if you cannot monetize those correctly, you're going to lose money because that lead costs you the same amount of money regardless. We get a good ROAS on those things, but as I said, takes a different approach for pay-per-clicks than you're doing your texting. Because your texting, you can control everything. You decide the size, you can decide where it goes, your buyers even before you start it. On pay-per-click, you don't.
Yeah, that's a whole business in itself, trying to run that whole pay per click campaign. So that's probably why you don't see a lot of people doing it. It's because it's such a unique angle. Do you sell services to other teams like lead gen services, or you just do
All
all your,
in-house.
what was the lead gen you used to do?
Well, basically non-prime services I used to do for credit cards, auto loans, things like that. We used to generate about 100,000 leads a day. So the large business.
Dang. Okay. So you're pushing, this is why I wanted to talk to you. I was like, yes, he's pushing some serious weight compared to a lot of people that you see out there. So how big is a team that handles 30 to 50 deals a month?
Okay. In call center, it depends on the division they handle. Okay. So for example, for incoming call for the pay-per-clicks, we have 3 dedicated agents. For texting, I believe it's 7 right now, which is they do the texting, they do the follow-up calls, and that's what they do. They get the leads ready. We have 4 evaluators. So their job is as soon as the lead comes up, they evaluate the leads. That's their job. Then it goes to acquisition team. And acquisition team today is, I believe, about 6 people. So we have 6 over there. Then from their acquisition team, once they have it under contract, then it goes, of course, to the disposition team, and it goes on the title team, which is title team is about 4 people itself. And then we have the again, disposition team depends on MLS team or Facebook team. The MLS team, we have 2 on it, and Facebook team, I believe today we have 7 on that. And then we also have people that prepare the pictures, marketing materials, all those things. So that's what it is.
Okay. Yeah, that's a serious operation. So with your acquisitions team, that looks like a big part of your team. How are you hiring them, and what type of things you look for in good acquisitions managers? How do you find those people and train them?
So it has changed over time. Now we have 4 overseas and I believe 3 in-house right now. So somebody that can talk. So one thing we did with our system, which was we realized that early on was that I can hire a salesperson. I can hire a call salesperson. I can hire a waiter to do the job. Okay. They just do not understand the technical side. So that's why we separated the evaluation team. So evaluation team goes out there, does all the evaluation, puts all the comps, put all the links, put everything else ready, put it inside our CRM. So when our acquisition team talking to these people, all they're doing is sales part, nothing else. So basically the way we do it, first of all, we're looking at someone that at least understands the basic of sales. They got to understand that. Customer service and sales, because they're both actually together. That's great. And then you have a series of videos they watch, then they shadow for a while, and then we start putting them on a low value deals, figure out, and as they improve their skills, they understand better, they go to higher value deals as they move forward.
And so you can have people that work their way up from $2,000 flips all the way up into maybe your minor subdivide teams and things like that, where they're doing $1 million deals type thing.
Yes, sir.
That's fantastic. And how do you incentivize them? Is it hourly pay? Do you do parts of
So,
deals or commission? Yeah.
so both. So what do we do? And again, it depends on what level they are. We offer everybody a guarantee. They get a guarantee. And then every time they have signed contract, they have a bonus based on how they got it in the contract, what we think the profit on that deal would be. And then at the time the sale finalizes, they make a percentage of that.
How do you keep track of their sales calls? Are you you have a coach who's listening to them? Or you have a QA process, or do you just get them going the right direction and trust them?
So we use Dialpad and we record every call. We try to listen as many calls as possible, but I'll be honest with you, that's a little bit impossible. We have a checklist that we ask everybody to go through their call. So we make sure they cover everything we ask them on our script. So it has a flow on it. So we want to make sure that they follow that flow on that one. And I have a meeting with the different groups. For example, Thursdays is made with my acquisition team. Friday with my disposition team. And we grab a couple of calls, we listen to the calls, and we basically everybody try to figure out what they could do better. That's been the best training ever.
What's your day look like with a team like this and that many deals? I'm curious just what you do during the day, how you spend your time effectively.
So the way my days goes is that I wake up very early. I'm usually in the office about 7:30 and 8:30. I have a meeting. These are our team, of course, in the US, different areas, US. We have a team in Egypt. We have a team in Philippines, and we also have a team in Peru. I always set up my first meeting at 8:30 in the morning. And 8:30 in the morning to 10:30 is the meeting with the one group. I don't bring everybody at the same time because acquisition team has nothing to do with disposition. We have till about 10:30, usually goes like that. Oh, by the way, each team has a leader. So I don't really manage this team myself. I manage the leader. So what I do is basically I meet with everyone one time a day, but I don't meet with anybody else the rest of the day. And the rest of the day goes, depends on what the business needs. Creating system, dealing with finances, putting fires out down. So there's always something to do, of course, figure out what's coming next. So that's what I do.
Are you meeting with one team leader a day, or you're meeting with every team leader every morning
No.
for that first?
So all my team leaders are in Houston. Okay.
Okay.
So I get to see them. We have a pretty large office in Houston. I meet with them as the day progresses. Okay. I try not to make too many meetings because then all day long will be. But I meet every day with a team and not every day with one team and their leader.
Okay.
That's what I do. Let's imagine acquisition team and their leader is Thursday morning. That's when I meet with them. Now, if anything else happens, emergency, I just meet with their leader. Also, one more policy we have is that everybody in my company has to be on camera. So if you come to my office, there are monitors everywhere and you feel like everybody's in the same office. So I can walk to an area and I see all my BAs, everybody else, the acquisition team, everybody else.
That's
Okay.
cool.
They can see me, I can see them. So that's been one of my requirements from day one. We don't hire anybody that cannot stay camera.
That's interesting. I've never heard that before. So you have a physical office, and then what, you have computer screen, like a big screen up that has everyone on it type of thing?
Exactly. On a screen. I wish I could walk you to my office. And right now, my operation manager, I believe, has 6 or 8 screens in front of him. And each screen has 4 or 6 people in there.
Oh, that's cool.
And he literally just talks to everybody. It seemed like we were in the same office.
Mm-hmm. That's great. I've never heard that before. That actually makes a lot of sense. It's hard to build a culture without everyone in the same office or seeing each other. But if they're seeing each other all day like that, that's crazy. Do you have that in multiple rooms? Does each of your people at the office has their own heads up screen where it shows everyone else? And are you on screen
Yeah,
too?
no. So it has. So again, different department. For example, we have a Facebook department. Okay.
Mhm.
The person that runs that department has everyone in that department on a screen that he can talk to, turn around and talk to. They're just sitting like next to them. Okay. That's how
Mhm.
what the computers are. An acquisition department, disposition department. So they all have their own group and they all have their own cameras.
Yeah, that's cool. With your management style, how did you learn this management style? How did you get to where you are? Because running that type of operation, I think probably takes a lot of trial and error.
I've
Yeah. What?
I've never had a corporate job. I graduated from college. My first business, I own a chain of hair salons, and that teaches you a lot. Then I luckily became one of the first people that was able to get a license from MasterCard to issue prepaid cards. And that's what was my entry to a technology business. After that, I ended up to own affiliate networks, and that taught me a whole lot about technology side and understanding working remote. I had a team in US, I had a team in India, I had a team in Russia, I had a team in Israel. So that became, again, taught me how to work with remote. Then from that, I moved to flipping houses. I got into flipping houses about year 2015. And I bought, fixed, sold, and seller financed about 1,000 houses between 2015 to 2020.
Oh, wow.
So that's what I ended up doing on that part. And I got in land business about 2019. Thank you, Jack Bosch. I just got one of his courses and I always heard about land. So I did not know what to do with it. So I started dabbling in it. And I said, you know what? I have a couple of people, just dedicate them. And then 2020, life changed. Pandemic happened. I had some time, nothing to do. So I started doing lands and building the land business.
But what do you like about land versus the houses wholesaling? Because I remember were you doing wholesaling or flipping? I missed that
On house or land, what are you talking?
on houses.
So on houses, we do everything. We buy them, we fix them, we sell them, we seller finance them. And right now we also do nationwide wholesaling.
Oh, wow. Okay. The whole thing. When you look at the land industry versus the houses and the stages of the market, what do you see the differences between land and maybe the wholesaling industry?
We land, one thing I like about it is that we really don't have to deal with anything, toilets, anything else like that. So there's a lot less human emotion. In the land, people don't sell it because they're getting foreclosed on. That's great. They even want the money or thing like that. But so that's what I see about the land. But I'll be honest with you, land is also a very frustrating business. Why? Because in houses, when you get them under contract, probably 90% of the time you're going to be able to close. There is no title issues. That's great. One of the things that kills a lot of our business is title issues. So you get it under contract, then you realize last time they actually went to a title company was 1900. And they think they own it because they pay taxes on it. So we get a lot of those deals. So it becomes a lot of frustration. And land is very illiquid. It's not a business that banks go lend on. There is no FHA, VA, so you have to create your own liquidity on that one. It has a different things on it and depends on what section of land business you are. Your ticket average is different. I think if you're going to do large volume, houses ticket average is much higher than land. Now, land is lower volume. You can just do subdivide and say, I'm making 100,000 a year. But can you do 200 pieces of land a month? No, you can't.
Mhm.
So that makes it different because increase your volume, your ticket average comes down because you have to process everything through the pipe. You got to be able to monetize everything that comes through your pipe. So that's the difference.
And are you still doing houses or did you shift all the way into land? Or are you doing both?
I stopped doing houses 2023 and started back 2024.
Okay. And why'd you stop? Why'd you start again?
I stopped because as interest rate was going up, we were not sure where the market's going. Is it going to slow down and uncertainty? And we feel like that interest rates coming down right now. And we see the pattern of going it down. And we think more activity going to be coming up down the pipe. So it's a good commodity to get into.
Turn it back on. Huh?
Turn
Nice.
it back on.
Yeah. So that we talked a little bit about your acquisitions team. Another big part of your team is your dispo team. Sounds like you have 9 people, maybe a few more. You're dispoing on MLS and Facebook. What's the lowest hanging fruit for people to do better dispo?
Depends on the type of product they have.
Okay.
If you have large properties, probably MLS. If you have a smaller dollar, probably Facebook. Okay. On a Facebook, you sell a lot of five, 10, $15,000 deals. On MLS, if you have 50,000, $100,000 deals, probably we sell it at least more in an MLS than Facebook.
What's it take to get stuff sold on Facebook? So just good pictures, drone footage, putting it in the groups. Like, how do you go about that?
Exposure.
Okay.
Facebook is free, but you have to play by Facebook rules, which is very difficult and nobody knows what that rules is. So that's the problem with Facebook. You don't have stability. There is no one that I knock on their door and I say, I want to list my property. You don't know when they're, but things that you are spamming someone or you have sold something illegal or you have a pet in your, very difficult. The way we're handling it, we have about, I don't know, today, 18 or 20 Facebook accounts. And we just hand a group of land to one of our Facebook representatives and they just market it. As they receive the lead, it goes to our sales managers. They communicate with the buyers and then hopefully they're able to do a deal.
With 18 to 20 Facebook, so you're creating Facebook accounts, or like tactically, how are you doing that? You're buying seasoned Facebook accounts and then protecting them? Are you building up your own, or what are you doing there?
Used to, but not anymore. People could have multiple Facebook accounts. So we create them, we keep them warm, we follow the best practices on that. And basically you grow one at a time. There is no Facebook form that I can go buy Facebook account from, but a lot of hygienes, lots of hygienes. We do on that.
So you have one probably team lead who's an expert in keeping the accounts warm and staying up on ahead of what Facebook's up to so that you don't get kicked out. And that's, I guess you just have someone who's an expert at that. They're always changing things, huh?
Yeah, you have to be human at the end of the day. Facebook, nobody just post property on their Facebook all the time and do nothing else. You have to post pictures, you have to make comments, you have to do likes. So you have to keep your accounts active on it. Everyone that we hire, they have to be trained on the Facebook, how to keep it active, how to keep it warm. That's what we do for sure on that one. Then how to post a property, how to communicate. Like, for example, what do we do is that the moment somebody says, are you interested? The follow-up question, yes. How can I help you? They have to answer the question, whatever they want to. Would you like to get some more information? Yes. Can I get your phone number? And that goes now to our follow-up boss, which is then our lead manager or sales manager start communicating with them from there. That's how the process works.
With all the technical things you've got going on, how do you train new people? Are you real diligent with SOPs, or do you have really good team leads who have all the knowledge and they're able to teach people how to do it? How do you actually get that done?
Like any other small companies, that's great. We like to create those SOPs. We are creating everything as we can move forward. It's always chicken or eggs. Unfortunately, we're not a Fortune 500, so I don't have a whole team that all sees they're writing SOP. We try to document it as much as possible. We try to put it on the videos as much as possible, and then put a lot of fire down. As I said, it's real out there. We have to make money while we're working. We create as much of a SOP as possible. We have it documented. We have things like that, but it changes every day. I always tell my staff, everything is written on sand. So it's subject to change. That's correct. Every day. But yeah, every time we could bring someone, we hand it to that team leader and try to go through what we have learned, the frequent asked question, the frequent things that has happened, and teach them that way.
Do you have a main operations guy? Do you have like chief operations officer, or are you driving forward a lot of the stuff technically and also the CEO role? How's it look?
I am developing those. So I do not have what do you call the sort of the operation manager that runs something because we group one piece at a time. I explained it that have you ever bought a 1-bedroom house and then you realize you need another bedroom? So you build it next door to it. It's not like you sat there and spent $2 million to plan that house architecturally and say, okay, I need 5 bedroom, I need 2 bathroom, I need this thing. You build it one room at a time. It's happened sometime a door opens to a bedroom. So, that's how it grows. But so the way I have done it is that at least I have head of each department. And I work with everybody myself. So I'm the guy that goes out there, brings it, but I try not to go down to the operation level. I have the head of that department. I teach them what to do, where to go, and they implement. We started a small company and it was very tight group. So I get to meet people. And I have kept all my managers in Houston. I get to see them. I get to walk outside of my office, talk to them, and deal with them. So that's how we run it. And I run a technology company for a while myself because that's what the lead generation company was. That so every morning, one of the things I do, I communicate with my developers and add our own software. We have our own CRM, everything designed for ourselves. So everything we have been designed for us to do it. I developed that myself, not in a form of coding, but the concepts.
Yeah, you have a unique background because running a software company and then also working with global talent and working with remote people so much earlier in the game than most people. So you've got like a unique skill set there to do this. Because I know that global talent's gotten really popular lately, but you were saying you were doing that a decade ago. So yeah, that's
Mhm.
cool. That's cool. You built an interesting business here. What's next? What are you planning to do in land? Are you going to keep growing on the trajectory you're on? Are you thinking of getting into a new venture? Or what's your vision?
So my vision is to grow it, have an operation to make it sustainable. I look at different things and to me, the most sustainable business is Walmart. What do I mean by Walmart? They do everything. I see a lot of people moving from one thing to another thing because they just run away from operations. Operations is very difficult. But at the same token, I ask myself, what is the sustainability in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? Are we going to rather subdivide? I don't know. There is just so many 100 acres in Texas with 2,000 feet of frontage. So one day you got to learn how to build roads. You got it. So I see those things. And as I said, for me, because I am doing blanket marketing, I have to be able to process everything. But be honest with you, I think my way out will be financing. One of the things I learned and through the housing business, when I got in this business, I took a year off and I decided I wanted to see what I do. First, everybody said wholesaling because it was the easiest one. Then everybody said rehabbing. And I said, rehab. Then they said, do notes. So I went out there, took a couple of note classes and learned about notes. Then rental, learn about that one. And somebody gave me a great idea and I said, Mike, look in this town. Where do you see the tallest building and what do you see on top of their name? A bank. I said, great. He said, what do they hold? They hold the notes. They don't hold the asset. So I started at that. In my housing business, we learned how to make $130,000 profit on $100,000 house by financing it correctly. So I think my way will be long-term note holders and just create a note machine. That's what we did in the housing business. And I want to do the same thing, buy lands and seller finance. And I want to be in control of that. I want to be able to create as many notes as possible. So I know what the qualities look like, how was both asset and borrower was underwritten and grow that.
Have you seen Eddie Speed? Have you come across him anywhere in the land community?
I've came across Eddie quite a few times. He was one of the first guys I learned from when I was searching the note business.
Mhm.
So yes,
Yeah.
things.
He's an interesting character. He has a very strong note portfolio and his whole approach to it is cool. I actually just, one of the podcasts that's coming out shortly is going to be him. But yeah, he's unique how he looks at it. He looks at it more like an institutional investor and is real thorough with how he looks at notes as opposed to a lot of the industry that's a little bit more operating a little bit more loosely with notes, let's say. So
Yeah. So Eddie, he's probably one of the most knowledgeable person you can find on note business. I pretty much attend every gathering I can find him. There's a lot to learn from him. The only difference between him and I will be that he buys his own notes. So basically he goes out there and find all these note creators and buy the notes from them. I am trying to both create and hold the notes. So I want to have my own supply note, which is a little bit different model.
Yeah. Why do you like that model? What do you see about that?
I control the supply and I control the quality. When I got in this business, I was looking at the defaulted note business. When I got in the housing business, that then I realized that I don't want to be buying a note for someone that I don't know how the asset look like, how the note look like, and be default. So actually, there is another gentleman. His name is Mitch Steven. I don't know if you heard of him or not. I
Have it.
spoke with Mitch and he taught me how to create my own notes on a housing side of the business.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. And not that one is better than the other one. It's just people do things differently. Somebody in our business likes to do large subdivide. Somebody likes to do small $2,000 notes. That's great. Buy it in Arizona and sell it. So one is not better than the other one. It's just a different way of doing business.
What are some tips on creating your own notes in the land business?
What kind of note do you want? For example, in our business, first of all, we have this formula that we require 50% down of our purchase price for a note. So remember, you got to think about, is it really usable land or unusable? What do I mean by it? Is it something that they're actually going to use, or is it something they just buying and they never going to see that place? If you have something that is usable, then it comes to the stability. Like, for example, in our business, we look at two things: down payment and income. Can they afford making the payment? And is this their down payment large enough that they just don't give it up? That's correct. And that makes stability for us, not that. If you are doing useless properties, then I probably want to just tie to their checking account. So they come every month, get their money. And when they say, okay, I'm not paying, I'm saying I got my property back and just resell it. So it's not all notes, not all the same. That's a very totally different business.
And when you see yourself getting maybe into the financing aspect of this longer term, what type of notes are you focusing on? What's that look like?
We have both.
Both? You focus on both? Okay.
Yeah, right now, if you're a land business, you got to understand financing because the banks don't finance you. That's where you got to know how to create them, how to manage them, how to raise money.
Are you looking at the lending as well, like doing hard money loans and getting into that part of the finance?
Not at this moment. I'm not saying that's something odd, but not at this moment.
And so we've talked about your pay-per-click and your evaluators and your texters, acquisitions, dispositions. What other kind of interesting angles do you think you have in land that maybe a lot of people don't? It isn't real common.
Honestly, there's no magic out there. It's just doing it and trying to find people. I call it McDonaldizing, which is basically breaking things to different parts. That's correct. Because I see a lot of people, they find a cold caller and they want the cold caller to become an acquisition agent and then do a disposition for them and do everything. And that does not work. What I have realized is that you got to divide it and stop dividing one more time in order for it to grow. So I said, there's no magic out there. If every course you listen to, they teach you the same thing. Everybody, it's just doing it. That's all it is.
Yeah. But that bias towards action, breaking it down into repeatable parts makes a lot of sense. I hear Sumner Healy sometimes talks about it. Land just being a widget, just build the conveyor belt, keep moving stuff through it. So
One more commodity.
yeah, that's right. So if you were going to put a message out to all of Twitter, the entire Twitter would read it at once. What would you say to people if you could get that message to everyone at once?
In the land industry or over the world?
It could be.
It's going to a different audience.
Let's do both. Let's do the land industry first, maybe something just to the land people and then to the entire world.
Land industry, start doing it. Just try to stop overthinking stuff. I think that would be the message to the land people. To the word boy, I don't know. I really don't want to say what I want to say.
Okay. If you decide you want to say it, you can hop in and put your message out there. So one thing interesting we do towards the end of each show is we give a question from the past guest, and then we'll let you ask a question to the next guest. But the last guest we had was Robin Zeep, and he is from the Land Pilot. He does the dispositions. He's a dispositions agency. What he asked is, how do you expect the industry to change in the next 2 years, the land industry?
I think it becomes like the housing industry. Everybody going to come into it and it's still getting more liquid every day. So you better get your act together.
And when it becomes more difficult, what do you see setting people apart?
Operation. 2015, when I got in the housing industry, you had to literally send a letter and get a house. I remember the first wholesaling course I attended, you sent 5,000 letter and you guaranteed 2 deals. Literally, that's what it was. I don't think you can do that anymore. In Houston right now, on pay-per-click, a lead cost is almost $550 to just get a lead, not a house.
Oh, wow.
Okay. It used to be about 10 leads to get one house. Today it's about 15 to 20 to get one house. So you really have to have your eye together, in and out, and understanding it, everything. So that area, somebody came in, spent 50 cents per postcard, sent 5,000 postcard, 2,500, send it to the voicemail, and next day answer the call and picked up one house, is gone. Those of us that they are doing it right now, we better get our act together. We better become more efficient. Think about right now. I know you attend a lot of those conferences. Everybody talking about subdivide. That's correct. So I remember my first subdivide, I bought it 2020. I paid about $200,000 for 53 acre. And I sold the first 10 acre for $250,000.
Oh, wow.
So that became $1 million deal. That's correct.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was easy. It was really easy. Now today, the same person getting 5 calls a day and 2 letters a day. And by the way, there's a limited supply. As I said, one of the concerns I have, there's a limited supply. If you look at it every time we go somewhere, they talk about this piece of land, 50 to 100 acre, with so much frontage. It's not that they building more frontage every day to a 100 acre piece of land. So it's both, two things going to happen. More people are going to come to this industry and less supply will be out there. So that's going to make a difference.
And so the people operating with the best systems and the best processes and best operators are going to start separating themselves. In the house industry, do you see less big companies, or do you just see, to get in, you just have to be a better operator? Like, is it consolidated?
No, actually housing, you probably see a lot bigger company and a lot more efficient people. Really are, if you go out there, they're much more sophisticated than land, because it's land is easy. Still, you can do mail outs and people send you a contract and they send you their deeds. That never happens in the housing industry. No, land is less sophisticated. If you look at it, a lot of people moving from housing to land because housing is too difficult.
And what's the sophistication actually look like? What are some things that a big company does in house wholesaling that we don't see very often in land yet?
Just their acquisition process, how they process their leads, how they deal, how they do everything. That's one part. Of course, their disposition is one side. Now, if we do a rehab, it's one side, and then, seller financing one other side. So there are a lot of different pieces, but just the wholesaling side of it, the whole acquisition team and the way they behave, it is not a weekend job for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's a profession.
Okay. So you're picturing like people, professional salespeople at a desk, like on commission, getting paid a couple $100,000 a year type thing, that are just high quality salespeople versus just randomly calling people up and trying to close deals, that type of thing.
That's where it's growing. That's what it's going to, because there is a limited number of sellers. There is a limited number of sellers that everybody going for.
Mm-hmm.
So who's going to win that?
Yeah. Okay. That's good. That's a great question, because that gives the people who listen to this podcast a little bit of a roadmap of where we need to be going to survive land in the next few years. So that's cool. Mike, if you were going to ask the next question to our next guest, I'm not sure who that is yet, but I'll tell them this question came from Mike Malek. What question do you want to send along to the next guest?
What question? I guess I wanted this question. What do they see coming next?
Well, there you go. All right. So I will ask that, send it on from you. Anything that we bounced over a little too quick that you'd like to go and talk about your business? You want to revisit the Twitter question for the message to the world? Any kind of things that you'd like to talk about as we get towards the end here?
The message to the board is that, no, I'm not going to say the message. If you're
Keep them,
Yeah.
the message is keep them in suspense.
Yeah, yes, it is. No, not really. You asked great questions, and it's a big topic and with a lot of different points to cover. I'll answer everything you want me to answer.
Wonderful. I think that next time people see you at the conference, Mike, hopefully a few of them will listen to this and they got a feel for what you're up to and all the interesting things you're building. One of the coolest parts of this podcast is that I get to meet people like you and hear way more about their business than I might otherwise. Yeah, it was killer to meet you today, and I'm sure we'll come across each other at a conference along the way or somewhere in the land business.
Same here. It was great to talk with you, and hopefully I get to see you around the gate.
All right.
The
See you later,
Legends
Mike.
of Land Show.
Thank you.